Turning from shelter to real danger in seconds, these homes are where true terror begins, and the unexplainable literally happens. Whether it's unbelievable encounters or never-ending sightings, here are the most creepiest moments ever caught on camera. A neighbor usually heard weird noises from one abandoned building. One day, he decided to explore, but what he witnessed was something he would never forget. As he explored the building, he noticed a strange thing in one of the corners. There was a shadow standing there. He knew it wasn't normal. It might have been a spirit, or even a devil. He immediately decided it was time to leave before things went out of control. And since that guy, he never entered any abandoned building. Hostel spirit. Late one night, a group of boys were playing football in their hostel when a strange incident happened. Out of nowhere, a very small figure appeared behind one of them and quickly moved to the other side. When the boys saw it, they were terrified and ran off immediately. They had only caught a brief glimpse of the figure, but they were certain it was a ghost. Luckily, it didn't seem to do anything with them, but who knows? Maybe next time, it wouldn't be so harmless. Invisible attack. What would you do in a situation like this? A security camera was recording the house when the owner was moving around, and everything seemed normal in the start. But then, a strange thing happened. Her hair suddenly lifted as if an invisible force were near. Before she could react, a strong push sent her crashing to the floor. Completely unaware of what had just happened, she stood up, looking around in confusion. The house felt off, and as she gathered herself, it became clear she wasn't the only one living there, and it wasn't happy from homeowner presence. Many believe it was a bad spirit that haunts the house. Forest spirit. A man was camping alone in the woods of Indonesia, but just past midnight, strange cries woke him up. He went to see, but no one was there. The sound of a woman crying kept coming back. He tried to ignore it, thinking maybe it was just an animal. But then, things got worse. Objects outside his tent started to move. He heard scratching, and then he saw it, what looked like a woman floating above his tent. But when he looked again, she was gone. It was the scariest night he had ever experienced. He was sure it was the spirit of a woman, and he never returned to that spot again.
Hey.
Mirror shadows.
She's still there in that chair right there. There was a little girl, like I said, no bigger than Sarah.
You've seen many weird videos, but what about this one? A man was admitted to a hospital, and during his stay, he claimed he saw a small girl in his room. His girlfriend didn't believe him and said she never saw anyone, but when he was about to leave, he showed her something on video. While she was recording him, he sat down in the chair and told her to look in the mirror. There, in the reflection, were 3 shadows: himself, his girlfriend, and a small girl standing right next to her. That was the moment she realized he wasn't imagining things. Terrified, they decided to leave immediately, hoping the spirit wouldn't follow them. Shadow campers.
They're just standing there. They're just standing there. What do you want?
Camping isn't always fun. Sometimes it can be downright terrifying. As happened with this camper, while he was sleeping, he heard strange voices from outside. He went to see, but it was pitch black. He claimed he saw figures.
What do you want? Leave me alone!
But they weren't like anyone he had seen before. They seemed dark, almost shadowy, and they didn't want him there. He tried to stand his ground, but eventually decided to leave. As he made his way away from the camp, he believed they followed him, but because it was so dark, they couldn't find him. He wasn't sure if they were human or something far worse, something paranormal, ghosts, spirits, or something else entirely.
Smell your cigarette. I can hear you. I hear you.
Haunted doll. A homeowner returned to her house late one evening only to encounter something that would haunt her. As she walked inside, she noticed a doll standing in the middle of the room. In the beginning, she thought it was just an odd placement, but then she realized something was wrong. Dolls don't stand on their own. Just as she was about to move closer, the doll began to shift, as if controlled by an unseen force. She got scared. Terrified, she ran out of the house, knowing deep down that something dark and unnatural was creeping inside. Abandoned watcher. One night, a family was about to go to sleep when they noticed a strange thing. Through the window, they saw a figure standing in their neighbor's house. The odd part was that the house had been abandoned for years, looking creepy and run down. The figure appeared to be a shadowy presence, almost like a spirit. Just seconds later, it vanished, only to reappear on the second floor. It then disappeared again, only to show up at a first-floor window. The family quickly realized why the house had been abandoned. Something dark and terrifying seemed to own it. It was the house of devil.
So, you man, it disappeared.
Dragged away. This video, posted online in March 2024, showed a woman working in a house when something unseen suddenly grabbed her with such force that it dragged her towards a room. Terrified, she struggled to break free, and as soon as she could, she ran out of the house, vowing never to return. It was clear to her this wasn't just a house. It was a place that seemed to belong to something far darker, something not of this world. She was certain this was a house of a devil, not of humans. Hotel apparition. While working in an old, scary hotel, workers experienced something they would never forget for the rest of their lives. It was late at night, and they heard strange voices coming from a part of the hotel that was closed. Both decided to move together, but as one of them moved ahead, she looked back to check on her colleague. That's when she spotted a woman-like figure standing behind her friend. The figure looked like the spirit of a woman. At that moment, they decided not just to leave the hotel, but to quit their jobs as well. Airport spirit. Airport workers renovating a closed-off section began reporting a strange thing. They mentioned sightings of a little girl wandering the upper floors, even though no one should have been there. Worried that someone might have snuck into the restricted area, they called in an officer to check it out. While searching through the empty wing, the officer captured something creepy. A young girl's face was seen behind one of the locked doors. The area had been sealed for days, with no way in or out. The workers were shaken. Some believe it was a real person, but many think what the camera caught that night was something far from normal. Haunted wardrobe. This video is getting viral, and for this reason. A TikToker was recording herself doing her makeup when something unexpected happened. Her wardrobe door slowly creaked open, but that wasn't all. The door suddenly slammed shut with a loud bang, shaking her. The first thought that crossed her mind was clear. There was someone unseen in the house, and it didn't seem like a friendly ghost. Maybe it was a warning, and next time, it might do something worse. And she decided it was time to get out of there as fast as possible. Ghost child. You won't believe this until you see it for yourself. A homeowner was in the living room when a small kid suddenly appeared and ran behind him without him noticing her. Moments later, she came back and quietly moved around that area, but the homeowner never saw her. Why? Because, as you can see in the footage, she wasn't real. She was a spirit, probably one that lived there. When the homeowner found out later, he knew what he had to do. He decided to leave and never return. Painted face. A real estate agent had planned an evening house viewing and decided to film a short promotional video. But as she started filming, strange things began happening. Knocking sounds, things slamming around the house. A door creaked open behind her, slow and deliberate. She turned, unfazed, thinking it was just an old house settling. It wasn't until she reviewed the footage later that she noticed something far worse. In one of the paintings, a face had appeared, and it wasn't a hoax, it was a real face. And suddenly, the house's long silence made perfect sense. There was something, or someone watching her, maybe a spirit. Solo encounter.
La ilaha illallah!
One ghost hunter decided to explore an abandoned building and face the consequences soon after. As he entered, he expected to find nothing but broken furniture, and at first, that's all he saw. But when he went to the second floor, things changed. One door suddenly slammed shut with force. It scared him, but he kept going. And just moments later, another door slammed just as hard. Yet no one else was there. That was enough for him. He left right away. Because the house had some evil spirit in there, and if the spirit had shown itself, things might not have ended so quietly.
Bismillah! La ilaha illallah! A'udhu bi kalimatillah at-tam.
Haunted aircraft. A pilot in Mexico City was finishing his shift around 3 a.m. when he heard strange noises coming from a parked plane. As part of airline protocol, he had to check the aircraft before leaving. The plane was dark and empty, but he clearly heard doors slamming. With only a flashlight in hand, he walked down the aisle. Suddenly, a shadowy figure peeks out from behind a corner. No passengers were on board, and the plane had been cleared hours ago. The moment was so terrifying, the pilot just turned and ran away. He couldn't sleep for the rest of the night after witnessing a ghost in real life.
Verga.
Phantom visitor. A night guard was patrolling alone when he claimed to see an old lady standing outside. In the video, the man can be seen waving at someone in the dark, though no one is visible on camera. He walks over and opens the door, saying he was helping a lost old lady. He even waits by the elevator with her. But then, just moments later, something clearly frightens him. He suddenly runs out of the building. Many who saw the video believe he encountered something evil, and with no clear answers, people are still left guessing what really showed up that night, a spirit or something else. Ghost conversation. This creepy video, shared on TikTok, left viewers speechless. It shows a night security guard talking to someone near the entrance, but when you look closely at the footage, there's clearly no one there. The guard calmly tells dispatch that an elderly woman named Miss Abigail was asking about a man, but dispatch replies with something scary. Miss Abigail had passed away 2 years ago. The guard goes silent. He then asks again, confused, if they really can't see her. When dispatch confirms there's no one there at all, the guard quickly turns around and runs out of the building, not looking back. Invisible girl. A security camera at the El Milagro market in Ventanilla, Peru, recorded a moment that left many confused. The night guard was making his rounds when he suddenly stopped in one of the corridors. He began speaking softly, as if comforting someone. He later claimed he saw a little girl crying, and he told her to wait for her mother. But in the footage, he was completely alone. He didn't realize at the time what he had seen. If he had known, he might have reacted like the others, run away, and never return. To this day, he avoids talking about that night. Rolling terror. While working a late-night security shift at a hospital, this guard noticed an odd thing. One of the things had moved. Curious, he started recording. That's when he spotted a wheelchair sitting in the hallway, right in his path. But the section of the hospital was completely empty. As he stood there, trying to figure out how the wheelchair had ended up there, it suddenly started rolling on its own. That was enough for him. Without hesitation, he ran out of the area. It was clear now, he wasn't alone. Whatever was in that wing, it wasn't human. It was a ghost. Church force. Police in Mexico were called to a church late at night after reports of strange noises. When they arrived, the church was oddly silent, but the heavy doors were shaking violently, as if something was trying to break free. They started recording, but there was nothing visible. The force behind the doors was undeniable, yet no one could see what was causing it. The officers were left in shock, as they had never seen anything like it. Locals later shared that part of the church had been sealed off for years, rumored to hold dark energy. It was trapped there, but the question remains for how long. Window figures. While going to bed one night, a homeowner saw something that didn't seem possible. Just outside his window, he noticed not one, but 3 figures, 2 men and a woman. One of them was holding a torch, and they were acting in strange ways. The men and woman stood still, while the other man moved around in weird, unexplainable motions. As the night grew darker, another figure appeared to join them. It was so late that no one else was around, and it felt like the figures weren't human at all. Maybe they were ghosts, pretending to be human. Dragged away. A security guard, only 3 nights into his new job, captured this unsettling moment that almost made him quit. While doing his rounds, he saw a dark figure by the desk. He got scared, watching as it appeared for just a few seconds before vanishing. He tried to calm himself, but the image wouldn't leave his mind. In the video, his voice cracks as he nervously says he's sure of what he saw and hopes the camera caught it too. It was enough to make anyone question staying. Whatever it wasn't supposed to be there, and he knew it. Haunted house.
Cuidado, Judá. Cuidado, mano. Que é isso, mano?
In Brazil, there was an abandoned house, but it wasn't like any other. One day, locals finally reported it to the local police. When the officers entered, they were stunned. One of the doors was slamming shut over and over again. But here's the thing, there was no wind. Nothing else in the house was moving. They waited in silence, trying to understand what was going on. Then came a loud, broken noise, like glass breaking from inside. That's when they realized this place wasn't empty. It had been home to a spirit for a long time, and even the police didn't feel safe staying there.
Mano, que é isso?
Shaking pole. This light pole in the parking lot has left the experts in shock. One night, a local was going home when she saw it shaking like crazy, and it was making a loud sound. Just a few feet away, another pole stood perfectly still. She recorded it and uploaded it online, when some called it resonance, where the wind hits at just the right angle to make it vibrate. But others say it wasn't just the wind. The way it moved and the timing felt off. Maybe nature had helped that day, or maybe a spirit or a ghost was playing with the pole. Gettysburg ghost.
There's another spark. You see what I'm saying?
In 2001, a family visiting Gettysburg, Pennsylvania captured one of the most talked about ghost videos ever. While walking near the battlefield, they noticed a strange movement near the trees. They quickly pulled out their old handycam and started recording. What they caught was a creepy, transparent figure that seemed to march over rocks before floating back into the woods. But what truly scared them was how fast the figure moved. 1 second, it appeared on the left, and in the blink of an eye, it was on the right. The speed was unnatural. No person or animal could move like that. And this was long before digital effects could easily alter videos. They were undeniably ghosts.
I don't see nothing down there. Can't be the motorcycles, honey.
Office poltergeist. Offices are usually quiet at night, but not this one. In Manchester's Castlefield area, a late-night CCTV clip from 2012 still makes rounds online. The footage shows a normal office until, out of nowhere, a chair slides across the room on its own. Moments later, a computer flickers to life, even though no one was there. That was enough for many to label it Manchester's most haunted office block. Even an expert who reviewed the footage later declared it a haunted office. Invisible patient. At the Fino Quieto Sanatorium Hospital in Buenos Aires, a strange event was caught on camera. Around 3:26 a.m., a security guard got up from his seat and began speaking to a patient. He even offered them a wheelchair, but when reviewed later, the footage showed no one was there. The hospital door opened on its own nearly 28 times that night. Investigators found that no patient entry was ever recorded, and the guard never wrote anything down. Some said it might be a hoax or just a faulty door, but the guard later asked for time off, claiming the incident left him shaken and that strange things are still happening with him. Pawpaw returns.
What?
While playing with her son, a mother was shocked when suddenly the boy stopped and stared at their bedroom. He wasn't just looking, he was talking, like someone was standing right there. She gently asked who he was speaking to, without any fear. He said, "Pawpaw." That moment scared her. She slowly walked to the room, but no one was there. And you know why she was scared? Well, the Pawpaw was her grandfather, who had passed away just a few months ago. Maybe he really did come back just for a moment to see them again.
What? Lacey?
Graveyard children. A YouTuber visited an abandoned graveyard in Minnesota. It belonged to a forgotten town, and locals had warned him strange things always happened there. But he went anyway. He started filming near a smashed grave when he felt someone had touched him, but there was no one around. Then, out of nowhere, he heard a clear voice that seemed very close. There was no one in sight. He got terrified and moved to another tombstone and took some photos. Later, when checking them, he noticed something creepy. Two faint figures standing near the grave. They looked like children. People say these kids were buried beneath the grave and their spirits roam in the graveyard. And this time, they decided to show themselves. Gym terror. The gym owner noticed the heavy weight moving on its own and decided to pack his back and leave. But the gym ghost had other plans. The moment he turned to leave, something grabbed his legs and dragged him. No one was there, just an unseen force pulling hard. Trying hard to break free, he actually was successful. He didn't wait any longer. He left everything behind and ran out. Whatever was in that gym wasn't normal, and it definitely wasn't friendly. Van disturbance. First, the door opened on its own, and then the strange banging on the camper's van scared him. Not being able to go out and stuck inside the van, all the guy could do was to wait for the sound to disappear. Now, if it was a person, he would have told his name, but the footage tell otherwise. Though the fate of the boy remains unknown, let's just hope he came out of the woods safe and sound. Ghost ship. Back in October 2018, a man was walking near Lake Superior in Marquette, Michigan. He and his friends spotted something strange far out in the water. It looked like a massive gray ship standing tall above the lake. One of them pulled out a phone and recorded it. Some thought it was a ghost ship. The shape reminded many of the SS Bannockburn, often called the Flying Dutchman of Lake Superior. The video got a lot of attention. Everyone has their own opinions, but no one knows the reality. Forest figure. A camper in Oregon found that out the hard way. He had set up a trail cam near his tent, but when he checked the footage that night, he got scared. There was a figure at the edge of the trees, barely visible, like someone was there, but not fully, almost like an invisible man. Not a glitch, not a shadow, just there. Some believe it might have been wearing a cloak. Whatever it wasn't normal. Abigail's visitor. A night shift security guard was doing his usual rounds when he thought he was talking to a regular customer. She was at the entrance, asking about something. He then called dispatch to report the conversation, mentioning how the woman seemed lost, looking for Miss Abigail. That's when he got the creepy response. Miss Abigail had passed away 2 years ago. The CCTV footage was clear. There was no one near the entrance. Yet, the guard had clearly interacted with someone. Terrified, he ran from the store, knowing what he saw wasn't real. It was the spirit of someone who knew that day. Office disturbance. A guy was working late at night in a quiet office, but things took a strange turn when his water bottle suddenly fell on its own. He brushed it off, thinking he might have placed it wrong, but it didn't end here. A computer monitor crashed to the floor. That's when he realized something was off. He got up to check, carefully looking around. As he bent down to inspect the monitor, his office chair slid forward, hitting the back of his legs. There was no one else in the room. Freaked out, he ran out of there fast, as he knew there was a ghost in there that didn't like him at all. Teddy Terror. While working late at night, one worker got the shock of his life. As he was focused on his task, he noticed a strange thing through the door window. A small teddy bear was moving on its own, as if it had life. To make matters even creepier, there was music playing, but no one else was in the entire office. Terrified, he decided to move closer, but the moment he did, the teddy bear stopped. And just as he stood still, the music started again, and the bear began moving once more. He quickly realized this wasn't a coincidence. It was clear there was a paranormal presence in the office that didn't appreciate late-night workers, and since then, he has never worked late at night. Red-eyed visitor. In Thailand, a daughter did something that frightened the whole family. While playing, she pointed toward the garage and started talking to someone, but her parents couldn't see anyone. When her mother asked who she was talking to, the daughter replied by saying, "An old woman." The creepy part was when she added, her eyes were red, and she pushed her towards it. That's when the family realized they needed to take it seriously. Fearing the spirit's intentions, they decided the best thing to do was to leave the house before it was too late, worried that staying might bring something they would regret. Willow's Curse. In Cayuga, Indiana, there's a house called Willow's Weep. Some say it's the most evil place in North America. In 2019, an investigator and his partner were called to check it out by the owner. But soon, strange things started happening. The owner's son was hit by falling boards, and she herself was scratched down her back. Doors slammed, and loud banging noises echoed from the floor. The house has a dark history, multiple poisonings, and tragic events. Even more unsettling, it's shaped like an upside-down cross. Now, he believes the house isn't just haunted, it was built to trap something dark and scary inside. Maybe a devil. Piano presence.
Donnie, someone just played the piano.
This time, it was Jenny McCarthy who stepped out of the living room for just a moment when a few notes from the piano suddenly played. She rushed back in, thinking her husband was messing around. But when she checked, the house was completely empty. Later, she reviewed the home's CCTV footage. No one had entered. No one was near the piano. And yet, those notes were clearly heard. It became obvious that someone or something unseen was inside. The piano didn't play itself. A spirit was there. Morg sighting. While working late at night in the hospital morgue, a worker began hearing strange noises from the landing. It was already creepy enough, but then things took a darker turn. When he stepped out to check, he saw a child standing alone in the hallway. The second he noticed it, the child turned and ran into the darker side of the building. He followed, but when he reached the spot, there was nothing, no trace of the child. That's when he knew it was time to leave. He wasn't sticking around for whatever that was to come back. Dark manifestation. Hospital security staff kept getting reports of strange voices coming from a room that was supposed to be empty. So, one night, they decided to check it out for themselves. While filming, they captured something shocking on camera. A dark shape suddenly appeared from nowhere. What made it worse was that the temperature dropped all of a sudden. The staff were left stunned. They couldn't explain what they had just seen. Whether it was a camera glitch or not, many believe they may have recorded something supernatural that night. Haunted doll. A birthday girl received a doll as a present and was beyond excited. Everything seemed perfect until something strange happened. While taking pictures, the doll's head, which had been perfectly still, suddenly tilted towards her. The head moved on its own. Terrified, she immediately threw the doll away, realizing it was far scarier than it seemed. She couldn't shake the feeling that something dark, maybe even a devil, was inside it. That was the last time she held the doll. Carnival Ghost. These girls were having fun at a carnival game when something strange occurred. There were only 3 of them, yet the video clearly shows 4 people in the frame. One of the girls looked different. Her face was unsettling, and her presence seemed off. The scariest part, just moments later, she vanished without a trace, as if she had never been there at all. No one could explain how she disappeared, leaving many to believe she was a spirit, creeped briefly before fading away. The footage left everyone questioning what they had just seen. And now, let us move on to our subscriber pick of the day. A homeowner was disturbed by a strange noise in his backyard as he grabbed his camera and went outside to see. But there was no one. As he was about to get in, he accidentally pointed the camera upward, which scared him. Standing on the roof was a humanoid creature, motionless, just staring at him. It seemed fully aware it was being filmed. Just moments later, it went up and disappeared from the site. And you know what it was? It looked like a cryptid creature people have heard about, but only a few have seen.